In the cold darkness of deep space, a shadow moved across the stars. It was fast, silent, and deadly. This was no ordinary ship. It belonged to the Xarnoch, the most feared predators in the galaxy. The Xarnoch were not like other alien species. They didn't trade. They didn't talk. They hunted. Whole planets had fallen to them. No army had stopped them. No wall had slowed them. When the Xarnoch arrived, living things disappeared. But today, they came for something different. Their target was a small moon called Alaris 7. It had no weapons. Only a single human research outpost stood on the rocky surface. The Xarnoch didn't care. One of their scouts had picked up strange signals from the area. Curious, different, human. The Xarnoch leader, a creature with sharp black armor and red glowing eyes, stood on the bridge of the ship. Prepare to drop, it growled. 10 hunters, each over 2 meters tall, armed with claws and energy blades, entered a drop pod. With a deep boom, they launched toward the surface. As the pod landed, dust and rock flew into the sky. The door hissed open. Nothing. Silence. No soldiers. No defenses. Just quiet. The leader stepped out first, scanning the area. Human base is 200 meters ahead, it said. They moved like shadows, fast, quiet, deadly. As they reached the edge of the base, the air changed. One of the Xarnoch stopped. Something is wrong, it hissed. The leader sniffed the air. Its eyes narrowed. The smell, it was not fear. Not panic, it was calm. Too calm. Inside the base, lights flickered. A few machines hummed softly. The hallway was empty, but fresh. Someone had been here recently. The hunters split into teams. 2 moved toward the labs, 2 to the control room, the rest toward living quarters. Then it began. The first scream came from the lab, a sound of pain, confusion, and terror. The leader rushed in. The 2 hunters were down. No blood, no signs of battle, but their faces showed fear. The leader growled, "Report." Only silence. Then a voice came from the speaker system. Calm, deep, human. "You shouldn't have come." The hunters froze. The voice spoke again. "You thought you were hunting prey. But now you know something is hunting you." One of the hunters fired at the speaker. The bullet passed through the wall. Nothing. Suddenly, lights began to flicker. Doors slammed shut. The air felt heavy. Panic began to rise. One by one, the hunters disappeared. No sounds, no signs, just gone. The leader, now alone, ran through the halls. It didn't feel like a hunter anymore. It felt like prey. It reached the main command room and slammed the door shut. Breathing hard, it looked at the screen. A camera feed showed the hallway outside. A human stood there, wearing a simple uniform, holding a cup of coffee. He didn't look scared. He didn't even look angry. He looked bored. The leader stared at the screen. "What are you?" it whispered. The man looked up, straight at the camera. He smiled. The lights went out. Hours later, the Xarnoch ship hovered over the moon. A distress signal came from the surface. A single pod launched into orbit. Inside was the Xarnoch leader, shaking, injured, and afraid. When the other Xarnoch pulled him out, he whispered one word. "Human." Back on the moon, the human sat on the base steps, sipping his coffee. "Maybe next time," he said softly. Behind him, the base lights flickered back on. In a dark chamber lit by blue fire, 5 alien warlords sat around a stone table. They were leaders of powerful species, creatures with wings, claws, fangs, and minds sharper than steel. Each had ruled battlefields. Each had destroyed enemies. But now, they were silent. A screen on the wall showed the footage from Alaris 7. 10 Xarnoch hunters had landed. Only one returned. And the human? Alive, untouched. One of the warlords, a serpent-like alien with golden eyes, finally spoke. "What kind of weapon did the humans use?" Another, with metal skin and a voice like thunder, answered, "There was no weapon, no attack, only one man." The room grew cold. A third warlord, the oldest among them, closed his eyes. "I've heard of him," he whispered. "They called him the Ghost of Earth." The others looked at him. "They say he walks into war zones, and silence follows. He doesn't speak much, doesn't fight often, but when he does, entire armies fall." "What's his name?" someone asked. "Commander Real." Far away on a desert planet called Velker 3, a group of alien children sat around a fire. An old alien soldier told them stories. "There was a battle long ago," he said. 200 of us, and one human." The children leaned forward. "We laughed when we saw him. No armor, no weapon in his hand, just a calm face." "What happened?" one child asked. The soldier looked into the fire. He looked at us, just looked, and we stopped. Our weapons lowered. Some of us cried. I don't know why. The children were silent. He walked through us, like a ghost. Back in space, a secret council of bounty hunters met. They had all heard of Commander Real now. Some feared him. Others wanted the fame of hunting him. A new bounty was placed. 1 million credits for Real, dead or alive. The message spread across the stars. Everyone wanted a piece of the legend. But Real, he didn't care. On a peaceful planet covered with blue forests, Commander Real sat beside a small river. Birds sang. Leaves moved gently in the wind. He helped a child fix a broken toy. The colony here was simple. Quiet. He liked that. A local woman asked him, "Is it true? Are you the man from Alara 7? Real smiled slightly. "I was there." "Why did they run?" He didn't answer, just looked at the water. A signal beeped on his wrist. He stood up. His eyes, once soft, now turned sharp. "They're coming," he said. In the dark space near Earth's border, 3 ships appeared, small, fast, deadly. Each one carried an assassin from a different race. One was called Vor, a lizard-like tracker who could smell fear. One was Thren, a winged sniper who never missed. The last was Konar, a machine with no soul, just a mission. All 3 had the same goal: hunt the ghost. They locked onto his signal. Their ships moved silently toward the blue planet below. Back on the surface, Real packed his bag. He looked at the sky. "I gave them a chance," he whispered. "Now they'll understand." He turned and walked into the forest. Later that night, the 3 assassins landed near the human colony. They moved fast, invisible, deadly. But as they reached the trees, something felt wrong. The air was still. Too still. Thren stopped. "Where are the people?" Vor sniffed the ground. "They're gone. Evacuated." Konar scanned the area. "This is a trap." Suddenly, lights blinked in the trees, and a voice came from the shadows. "You followed the legend," Real said calmly. "Now you meet the truth." The 3 assassins drew their weapons, but the forest was already closing in around them. The 3 assassins stood in the middle of the forest. Their sharp eyes scanned the dark trees. Strange lights blinked in the distance, too fast to track, too quiet to follow. "Something's watching us," Vor said, his tongue flicking the air. "I see no heat signs. No movement," Thren whispered from a tree branch above. His wings folded tightly around him. Konar, the machine assassin, raised his scanner. "He is near." Then the forest fell silent. No wind, no birds. Even the ground felt still. The ghost was close. Hours earlier, Commander Real had walked calmly into the forest. He knew they would follow him. He didn't run. He never needed to. He moved through the trees like he belonged there. Every step planned. Every sound remembered. This forest was his trap. Back in the present, Vor moved forward, his blade glowing faint green. He sniffed the air again. "I can smell him," he growled. "He's scared." But his words were a lie. Real wasn't scared. Suddenly, a soft click sounded behind him. Vor spun around, but there was nothing. Then something dropped from the trees. Fast. Too fast. Vor raised his blade, but a small dart hit his neck. He staggered. His vision blurred. His legs failed him. He fell. A voice echoed in his ear. You were never the hunter. Prince saw Vor fall and took to the sky, flying high above the trees. His sharp eyes scanned below. No sign of Real. He's under the canopy, Thren said into his communicator. I will flush him out. He readied his sniper rifle. The barrel glowed softly as it locked on to heat signatures. But then, all the heat vanished. What? He muttered. The forest went black in his scope. Suddenly, a flash of light behind him, too close. He turned. Real stood on a tall branch, no weapon in hand. You think flying makes you safe? Thren fired. The bullet passed through smoke. It wasn't Real. It was a decoy. Then something grabbed his wings, tight. A net, electric. Thren screamed as he dropped from the sky. Only Conan remained. He did not feel fear. He was not alive. Only mission data and target location. He walked slowly, calmly through the forest. Trees bent as he passed. He heard the screams of his team. One by one, they had failed. But he would not. Konar reached a clearing. There was a fire burning in the middle, and a man sitting beside it. Commander Real. Konar raised his weapon. Surrender. Real didn't move. I'm not here to fight you, Real said softly. You are the target. No, I'm the warning. Konar paused. Explain. Real stood. You were sent to kill me. But you never asked why others failed. You never wondered why they ran. Konar's system scanned him again. No weapons, no armor, no signs of threat. Still, every danger alert was blinking red. You fear nothing, Konar said. Real looked up at the stars. I fear war. Konar hesitated. Then why do you cause fear? Real's eyes met his. Because fear stops war before it begins. Suddenly, Konar's systems began shutting down. A virus. Real had already hacked him. Good night, machine, Real whispered. Konar collapsed. Later, a small ship flew away from the planet. Inside it, the three assassins lay still, alive but broken. A message was sent back to the Bounty Council. Do not follow the ghost. There is no hunt. Only silence. Somewhere deep in space, in a dark room filled with monitors, a new figure watched the footage. A creature older than any empire. A being who once hunted black holes for sport. It watched the human, smiled, and whispered, interesting. The stars moved slowly across the sky above the quiet forest. The fire beside Commander Real had burned low. Only red embers remained. The forest was silent once more. The three assassins were gone. But their message had spread across the galaxy. In a large hall on the desert world of Zeltrak, alien leaders gathered once again. The footage from the forest played on a giant screen. Real, calm, surrounded by traps, never raising a single weapon. A warrior with silver horns stood up. He defeated 3 elite hunters without killing them. A feathered diplomat leaned forward. He didn't use violence. He used fear. Planning. Precision. That is more dangerous than any gun. The warlords didn't speak. For once, they were unsure. Then a voice from the back spoke. It was the oldest among them, the one who first mentioned the ghost. You still do not understand, he said. He does not want war. But he understands it better than anyone. Far from the council, the assassin Vor sat in a recovery chamber, his body healing slowly. He looked at the screen showing Real's face, but there was no anger in his eyes now. Only confusion and respect. I saw no rage, Vor whispered. No pride. He didn't mock us. He warned us. A nurse walked in. You were lucky, she said. Most who face the ghost never return. Vor looked away. No, I was lucky because I did. On a peaceful moon, Reel helped a group of farmers build a water pump. His hands were dirty, his clothes simple. A young boy looked up at him. Is it true you scared the Xarnok away? Reel smiled softly. They scared themselves. I just gave them a mirror. The boy looked confused. What do you mean? Reel handed him a tool. Sometimes when you show people who they really are, they stop. Later that night, as Reel sat watching the stars, footsteps approached from behind. He didn't turn. I know that sound, he said. You were one of the hunters. It was Thren, the winged sniper. No weapons, no fight in his eyes. I came to ask you one question, Thren said. Reel nodded. Why did you spare us? Reel stood, looking into the dark sky. Because if I kill every enemy, they'll only send more. But if I change one mind, he turned to face Thren, that can stop wars. Thren said nothing. Then slowly he removed a small badge from his armor, a symbol of his assassin clan. I'm done hunting, he said. Teach me. Across the galaxy, rumors spread fast. Stories of a human who wins without fighting. A man who faces monsters with only words and wisdom. A living myth. Some feared him. Others now followed him. In a great library on the ocean world of Kalis, a scholar wrote into a glowing book. We once believed strength was shown through destruction, but now we begin to understand true power is control. Calm. The human called Reel is not a ghost. He is a mirror showing us what we could become. But far beyond, in the dark edges of known space, something ancient stirred. A creature older than the wars, older than fear itself. It had no name, no race, only purpose. It had seen Reel, and it was curious, not afraid, but deeply, truly interested. In a massive chamber made of crystal and shadow, the creature's eyes opened. Bring me the human, it whispered to the void. I must understand him. The void echoed back, it shall be done. Back on the green moon, Thren and Reel sat around the fire. You know they're coming again, Thren said. Reel nodded. I hope they don't bring war, he said softly, because next time I won't be gentle. In the black space beyond the edge of the galaxy, no stars shined. No ships traveled there. It was a forgotten place. But deep inside a floating mass of stone and crystal, something ancient awoke. It had no name, no face, no fear, only purpose. It had watched civilizations rise and fall. It had seen galaxies burn and be born again. But now, for the first time in centuries, it was curious. A human who made the fiercest creatures run. That was new. That was interesting. I must understand, the ancient being whispered. Bring him to me. And the void obeyed. On the green moon where Commander Reel had stayed, the sky cracked with thunder, though there was no storm. Birds flew. Animals scattered. Even the wind seemed afraid. Reel looked up. Something was coming. That night, a small ship landed on the edge of the forest. It had no weapons, no flag, only a single light on its front. Reel waited near his fire. A tall, thin alien stepped out. Its body looked like smoke, and its eyes were pure white. It spoke softly. He wants to meet you. Reel didn't ask who. He already knew. Lead the way, Reel said, standing up. The journey took days across quiet space. Reel didn't speak much. The alien didn't ask questions. Until finally they reached the black edge of the galaxy. The ship stopped in front of the ancient crystal structure floating in the dark. Reel stepped out alone. Inside, the air felt heavy, silent. He walked through long halls made of light and shadow. Strange symbols glowed on the walls. And then, he saw it. A shape too large to fully see. A being made of shifting forms, part light, part smoke, part memory. The last predator. The creature's voice echoed inside Real's mind. You are not like the others. Real nodded. No, he said. Why did they fear you? Because they don't understand me. And should they? Real looked directly at the creature's glowing center. I don't need them to understand me. I just need them to stop fighting. The creature was silent. You don't seek power, it said. No. Then what do you seek? Real stepped forward. Balance. The last predator shifted. Its shape pulsed with thought. I once brought balance, it said. Through fear, through force. And where did that lead? Real asked. The creature paused. To silence. To loneliness. Real nodded. Then we are not so different. For the first time in eons, the ancient being felt something strange. Respect. Not fear. Not hate. But deep, quiet respect. Why did you come? It asked finally. I didn't, Real said. You called. The creature let out a sound, half laugh, half sigh. I see now. It looked at the human. You are not the end of war. You are the warning before it. Real gave a small smile. Exactly. The hall began to glow brighter. The creature's voice softened. You may leave, human, but know this. Others will come, stronger, smarter, and not all will fear you. I'm counting on that, Real said, because fear only works once. Back on his moon, the sky was calm again, the forest peaceful. Friend waited by the fire. Real returned, quiet as always. Where did you go? Friend asked. Real sat down. To meet something very old. And Real looked into the fire. It wasn't a fight. It was a conversation. Friend smiled. Did it end well? We'll see. Across the galaxy, news spread like wildfire. The ghost had spoken to a being older than the stars, and it let him walk away. Not because it could not kill him, but because it chose not to. And that made the ghost even more dangerous. A cold silence spread across the stars. Every planet, every ship, every station was watching. From the golden towers of the Dronox Empire to the lava-covered caves of Varnak Prime, all eyes turned toward one small blue moon. That's where he was. The human. The ghost. Commander Real. It began with a message. Not a threat. Not a demand. Just a calm voice sent across the galaxy. There is still time. Choose peace. Choose something better than war. This is not fear. This is your warning. And with that, Real said no more. The message hit every leader like a thunderstrike. Some wanted to laugh. Others felt chills down their spine. One warlord crushed a glass in his hand. Who does he think he is? But deep down, even he wasn't sure if he wanted to test the ghost. In the Council of Species, where ancient enemies sat at long stone tables, there was chaos. He's bluffing. No, he's inviting us to think. Think? About what? About what happens after we lose? One ambassador stood and raised his voice. This human, he didn't kill his enemies. He changed them. What does that say? It was quiet then. Because deep down they all knew war could win battles, but never peace. Back on the moon, Real sat near the same fire. Friend stood beside him, wings folded, eyes sharp. They're choosing. I know, Real said. Some want to fight. Real stared into the flames. They always do. What will you do if they attack? Real looked up at the stars. I'll end it. Fast. No speeches. No mercy. Ships began to move. Fleets from old empires gathered near Earth's border. Ready. Armed. But they didn't fire. They waited. Why? Because none of them wanted to be the first. Because somewhere inside, they feared what might happen if he came for them. Not their armies. Just him. Then something strange happened. One by one, ships turned away. Not all. But enough. A fleet from the Xarnock Empire lowered its weapons. A captain from the Iron Reach removed his helmet and said to his crew, "He gave us a chance. I say we take it." And slowly, across the stars, weapons cooled. Engines shut down. And the galaxy breathed. News spread fast. The war didn't come. The ghost didn't need to fight. He just needed them to think. On every world, stories were told. Of a man who won not with bullets or bombs, but with silence, strength, and truth. On the moon, friends smiled. "You did it." Real shook his head. "No, they did. But you started it." Real stood up, looking at the trees, the sky, the stars. "I was never the hero," he said. "Just the shadow they needed to see the light." Years later, children across the galaxy would hear his name in stories. There was once a human so feared, armies ran from him. But he didn't want to be feared. He wanted something bigger. He wanted peace. And the children would ask, "Did he ever come back?" And their teachers would smile. "Only when he's needed."